everything. And purgatory is now, too, while you're alive, while you're doing the process. But because that man, Muhammad, that splendid, pious, uh, humble man, was able to piece together and was the only one, aside from Jesus and Milarepa. And you can't count Kutumi uh, or Shakyamuni. What you have to do is that you have to realize that uh, this thing is exclusive information. So by going to the gym, you'll feel better. And because of that, it'll help you stabilize your energy body. And your energy body will want to stay in your body longer. And it'll want to do more work for you, not for anyone else. And lo and behold, the longer that your energy body stays in you, it's like having the tutor following you on everywhere, correcting you all the time. It's like the best cheat note in the world. But you earned it. And you're getting this now for free. But nothing comes free. We need this now to help us get past the nexus point. And the faster you pick things up, the better that you'll be able to repay this to all of us that have been suffering. People like Jesus and people like Muhammad, where people can't even see that they're supposed to be together and they're not. You're saying my God and this God, and not better. My God is different. How can love be different? The only thing that's different is expression. That's what makes love wonderful. And that's why we fight. Because you're telling me that I can't love you, that I can't see, I can't feel. All of this is very misconceived. It's very needs direction. It's because it's outdated. So, therefore, any drug use and their physiological responses from chemistry is temporary and very addictive. But like momentum, it can be the start of a lasting mood. You just have to wait for it to happen. So you're dancing. Let's get back to your dancing. You pick a spot, you go to another spot, you pick the right people that you like, that dance like you, and then all of a sudden, slowly your brain releases the chemicals. But because sometimes you might relocate that pathway into, oh, I don't want this person to regress, so they stall it a little. Your brain does that. Not your brain. Your brain doesn't do that. Your mind does it. Your spiritual mind says, okay, does this person deserve this experience or not? And so, you keep at it, you keep working like I did. I went every week and then I was like, screw it, man, maybe there's something wrong I'm doing because I feel it. But throughout the whole night, I only feel it once or twice, but I'm clearly manipulating it. So, I mean, you have to learn and you have to be patient. And the more that you took, the more that you asked for proof, you asked God for help, the more you have to pay back. And that's faith. That's belief. So God doesn't come to us. We go to God. We have to find God. And finding Him, we find ourselves. And we become better. And when 2012 comes around, or 2011, but let's be honest, if you have problems and issues, and you're not addicted to the memory, or you don't have mental problems, it's going to be really fast. It's up to you what pace that you want. And if, in fact, that you really want this to happen, then you have to make it so. So if these thoughts are not satisfied, they manifest into a temperament, which can change your everyday attitudes and eventually become a construct of your personal archetype. Bitter, missing, without this heaven that you know, that you can feel. It can be deceptive, as it is chemical bliss. The same bliss at winning the conference, but not the championships, and the same tears. As the true feelings that you're supposed to experience is chemical and energetic, and you know this. So if there is a part of the song that you don't like, then listen to the drummer, which has a lower beat, or the guitar, a lower frequency, and high frequency, and so forth, of the guitar player. What raves do is that since your brain is operating at ultra high intensity, your brain is more sensitive to any frequency, and therefore can adapt to what it wants to hear. That's why people dance very differently at raves. And for those that are really poor dancers, dance well and without surprise. Everyone can dance much better than they normally can, because there is method to sensing mentality, to sensing. There's method to sensing mentally and physically, tuning into sound at exact amplitudes of the beat. It is an actual skill that we do at a subconscious level. Meaning, if we did this before, when in fact, we've been doing this all along, as rhythm really is an energy thing. Therefore, if you look at all the amazing dancers at raves, and because we are doing it for an extended periods of time, our brain begins to release the appropriate chemicals to experience this living as sound and being dance. Living as sound and being dance. So your soul is sound, is actual, pure, high amplitude frequency like this. So instead of this, it's like this. And no matter how many crosses there are, it's still like that because you're concentrating. And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do when you're at a club. And when you do that, you'll understand how to reproduce what you do at raves without the drugs. Our brain begins to store memories and experiences. But what you don't know is that if you have ever tried it without the drugs, sometimes you think that you're high or rolling, only to find out that during the next song that you're not. How does this be with marijuana as well? So if you're at a normal club, you drink too much. But it is the idea of the high, the endorphins, or serotonin that you're after. So how can you reproduce what happens at raves? Or when you're on marijuana? Is simply by waiting or requesting a song that you like. That's what I do. I give the DJ a beer and ask him to play a song. And so pick a beat, and since our senses are 60% versus 200% of what it normally is if you're ascended, then that's then depending on which sense that your genetics are attuned to or have been amplified because of predisposition, meaning that your parents, for me, my ears are better. So, I mean, that's your predisposition or what you're better at picking up, or is more highly developed and more adaptable to pick up the beats. So then you start then you start try picking up a tempo. Also, of note and later, the art of orgasms, as they can last for 3 to 10 minutes. Self-realization is key. Once you know that you're addicted, it is easier to break addiction. So once you know that you're addicted, it is easier to break the addiction. Denial addiction is extremely challenging, as they have become locked in another reality which offers them comfort. Meanwhile, they are physically dependent, as their addiction has now become a physiological dependence and their body cannot operate without the drugs. So they need it, or they feel as if they're dying when it's not true. Parts of your body will feel like it's dying when it's not. I mean, people get addicted at raves. I mean, you'll die without water and food, but anything else you won't die. And you actually will die without love or sensory stimulation. But I mean, that's what it's fooled into believing. So people get addicted at raves to do the drugs. But there are also secondary reinforcers that actually act as primary reinforcers. They are the music that actually pump triple the amount of information sonically into the brain, thereby stimulating the brain into a musical ascended state. A technology learnt by observing the Ark of the Covenant and Apollo's lyre. This state is further increased by the people who are actually amplifying the music. Amplifying the musical state with feelings. These feelings permeate and resonate the experience into a collective consciousness that is collectively enjoying a unified experience. This is something very different and very difficult to explain. As it is an experience unique to what heaven would feel like to you. Well, that is the chemical part for the most part. But in the beginning, as by default, we're able to experience these kind of experiences with the drugs, and because as default, since it helps with ours, it's gonna if we do it more than once or twice, we're not experiencing, we're doing it for the pleasure. And the Spirit says, you know what, we're gonna actually do what we're gonna actually do is experience it, spirituality. So afterwards, if you read the other papers, you'll see the other interviews, you will see why this is an experience, and then an experiment, and then a test, and then a lifestyle. It all relates. And furthermore, there was a finding from a professor in a university that had discovered that everyone's heartbeat inside raves has the same heart rate. No surprise. So when you're in a rave, the heartbeat, everyone's heartbeat's the same, even though you go from different persons to person.